It's a historic place. A lot of history here.
So the park is located in 3 states, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Virginia. It's about 25,000 acres. And it's almost evenly divided amongst the 3 different states. And one of the really cool features is you can actually come to the park and stand in all 3 states at once. I think that people really like this park for a bunch of different reasons. One of the things that I've always said is the park service really thinks about 3 things: natural resources, cultural resources, and recreational values. And Cumberland Gap National Historical Park really encapsulates all 3 things. We're obviously in a beautiful natural setting. You can see the ridge line. We have over 85 miles of trails. This is a historical park. This is an important park since really bisons came through here. You have American Indians that use this as the warrior's path. Daniel Boone came through here. You have the early Industrial Revolution. You also had the Civil War, and right up until Hensley's settlement. And I think that that really tells a lot about the cultural history of not only this spot, but of the United States overall.
You know, I think a lot of people really enjoy coming to this park. It's a nice mountainous park. It's a historical park, but there are also a lot of really awesome natural resources here. And you can see that up at the Pinnacle or at Hensley's settlement. You get a lot of the history, and then right out here in the restoration area and along the Wilderness Road Trail, you can go on the Gap Cave tour. So there's a lot of really awesome natural resources here that people can enjoy too.
And then as far as recreational, I mean, there's just so much you can do here. I go for a hike with my dog all the time. That's lovely. You can horseback ride. You can even ride your bike. You can picnic. You can photograph. You can go on our tours. And so it's really the mixture of all 3 of those things that makes Cumberland Gap so unbelievably popular.
It's exciting to be in a park like Cumberland Gap. We are a medium-sized park, so we're not the really big like the Smokies or a really tiny park. So in resources here, you get to touch a lot of different things. You get to do a wide variety of things. You're not pigeonholed just into wildlife or just into fisheries. You get to do a little bit of everything, and that makes my job fun.
It's got all the elements of a larger park, a Smokies or something. But there are plenty of places where you can be alone, and you can get back to your roots in all manners of speaking.
You get the full range, and I think the interesting thing about our particular ecosystem is that you start quite low elevation and it's just up along the ridge of a mountain. And because of that, there's very little flat ground when you're taking a hike or walking along the ridge. It's all up and down, and so you really get a variety of views and a lot of different kind of geologic formations as well. And I think that that really kind of makes, when you're actually out in the park, you get a different experience not only as you move along, but even if you do the same thing over and over, you're going to get a different experience every single time. And I think that that's one of the fun things, that I can do the same trail every single day and feel something and see something different every single day. Now, Cumberland Gap National Historical Park was founded because of that time frame of the Cumberland Gap. And so with having the road there, it really was a little bit of a mismatch where you had a major road going literally through the gap, through this historic area that the park was founded for.
Well, when the idea was first floated in the early 1920s, and then the park was authorized in 1940, it had always been a dream of a lot of local people that you would once again be able to walk in the footsteps of Boone and the pioneers, because that is why the park was established, was to commemorate the first doorway to the west. And when the idea came in the 1970s, when the law was passed to build the tunnel, it was one of the mitigations of that they would be able to restore the original path through the mountains. So I think when it came about, and as Jenny said, it was such a huge undertaking, and when it came about to actually plan that you could walk through the gap as Native Americans did, as Daniel Boone and the pioneers, as the Civil War soldiers did. It just really caught a lot of people's attention and imagination.
And it's a really important part of the community. The community was the big advocates of founding this as a park. And Lincoln Memorial University, who's the park's neighbor, its direct adjacent neighbor, was a big part of that as well. And I think because of that, because the community wanted this park so badly, the community still loves this park, and the park and the community here have an amazing, amazing relationship, and we love being here, and it's an amazing place to be.
It's nice to be able to encounter people on the trails and people who like to talk about their ancestors here, who know that they came through the gap at some point in history, and to be able to show them where they came through and allow them to experience that feeling again. So yeah, it's a great job.
I love the National Park Service. The National Park Service is turning 100 this year in 2016. And I think the National Park Service the mission is very important to preserve and protect for this and future generations. And that means a lot to me, because not only do I love this place, I want it to be passed on to that next generation and the future generations down the line. And I think that we tell stories that are powerful.
The Park Service today, they realize that this is what they want. It kind of brings some of them back to their roots, and they want to know more about the people that actually lived here. So to me, it's kind of like coming back home.